Story disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction and is intended for entertainment purposes only. The content includes dark themes, horror elements, and fictional depictions of rituals and sacrifices that are purely imaginative and not reflective of any real-life practices or beliefs. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is not suitable for younger audiences, and parental guidance is recommended. The story does not endorse or promote any harmful behavior, violence, or dangerous activities. Please note that all characters, events, and settings are entirely fictional and created for the purpose of storytelling. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events, is purely coincidental. In a bustling African city, a desperate ex-convict finds himself drawn into a sinister game orchestrated by a mysterious gambler skilled in dark magic. What begins as a chance to escape his troubled past quickly spirals into a nightmarish journey that blurs the line between reality and illusion. As he confronts terrifying forces and unravels shocking secrets, he must decide whether to trust his instincts or succumb to the chilling power of the gambler. Filled with dark twists and suspense, this gripping tale explores the depths of human desperation and the haunting consequences of a deal gone wrong. Will he survive the malevolent forces that hunt him, or has he unknowingly bound himself to a fate he cannot escape? Dive into this thrilling adventure. Subscribe, like, and share to support our channel, and turn on notifications to be the first to catch new episodes. In the bustling city of Kijani, where the sun painted the streets in golden hues, a man named Juma walked with heavy steps. Juma was an ex-convict, recently released from prison after serving a long time for a crime he didn't commit. The city was both familiar and foreign to him, a maze of noise, vibrant colors, and memories he tried to forget. One evening, while wandering through the lively market, filled with the sounds of merchants calling out their wares and children laughing, he stumbled upon a mysterious tent draped in dark purple fabric. Curiosity sparked within him, drawing him closer to the entrance. As he stepped inside, the sense of unease washed over him. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and the flickering candles cast eerie shadows across the tent's interior. In the center sat a tall man with piercing eyes, dressed in a long cloak that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. "Welcome, Juma," the man said, his voice smooth and inviting, wrapping around Juma like a warm blanket. "I am Zai, the gambler of sorts. I can offer you a chance to change your fate." Juma hesitated. He had heard tales of gamblers who could manipulate luck, and whispers of dark magic that came with such games, but he had nothing to lose. His past weighed heavily on him, and this opportunity seemed like a beacon of hope. "What do you want in return?" Zai smiled slyly, revealing a glimmer of sharp teeth. "A simple game. Win, and you will find fortune. Lose, and, well, let's just say you'll owe me a debt." Juma's heart raced, the thrill of the unknown coursing through him. Could this be the escape he was searching for? Without fully understanding the implications, he agreed, drawn into Zai's dark allure, unaware of the horrors that awaited him. The next night, Juma returned to the tent, anxiety bubbling within him like a pot on the verge of boiling over. The atmosphere was charged with an eerie energy, and he could feel the weight of Zai's gaze upon him. Zai explained the game. It involved a series of riddles, each more challenging than the last. For every riddle he solved, he would earn a chance at a better life. The first riddle came, echoing in the tense silence of the tent. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Juma thought hard, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. After a moment, he shouted, an echo. Zai clapped his hands, the grin spreading across his face that sent shivers down Juma's spine. "Very well, you have won the first round." But Juma felt something shift in the air, a strange unease creeping in, like shadows moving just out of sight. Zai's gaze was intense, almost predatory, as if he was sizing Juma up, waiting for the right moment to strike. The game continued, each riddle twisting deeper into Juma'S mind, revealing shadows he didn't know existed. With each victory, he felt a dark energy surrounding him, pulling him deeper into Zai's world. The thrill of winning began to cloud his judgment, and Juma found himself eagerly anticipating the next riddle, unaware that each answer brought him closer to the abyss. As days passed, Juma grew more entangled in Zai's games. He found himself solving riddles late into the night, neglecting his old friends and responsibilities. His once vibrant life began to fade, replaced by an obsession with the next challenge. One evening, in a rare moment of clarity, Juma learned that Zai's riddles were not mere games but keys to unlock a secret world of magic. He encountered a fellow gambler named Amara, a woman with fierce determination and a fire in her eyes. "Juma, you need to be careful," she warned, her voice filled with concern. "Zai's magic comes with a price. He doesn't play fair." Juma shrugged off her warning, convinced he could handle it. He was smart, he could solve any riddle thrown his way. "I can win this," he replied, the confidence in his voice masking the growing doubt in his heart. But Amara was not just a gambler, she was a practitioner of ancient knowledge, and her eyes held secrets of their own. "Join me, and together we can beat Zai," she urged, but Juma was blinded by ambition. The allure of winning clouded his judgment, and he continued playing, unaware of the dark forces stirring around him, waiting to snatch him into the depths of despair. As Juma delved deeper into Zai's world, he began experiencing terrifying nightmares, visions of shadowy figures whispering his name, beckoning him to join them in their dark games. Each night was a struggle, with sleep offering no refuge, only deeper entanglement in Zai's grasp. One fateful night, Zai summoned him for a special challenge. "This time, the stakes are higher," he declared, his voice echoing in Juma's mind like thunder. "Solve this riddle, and you will have the power to change your past. Fail, and you will lose something dear to you." Juma's heart pounded as he considered the implications. "What do I stand to lose?" he asked, his voice trembling with fear. Zai smirked, the corners of his mouth curling up in a way that sent chills down Juma's spine. "Perhaps your soul." Despite the fear gnawing at him, Juma accepted the challenge, determined to escape his past. But as he faced the riddle, he felt a wave of darkness washing over him, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't shake. The weight of his choices loomed over him, and he found himself teetering on the edge of a precipice, unsure of what lay below. The riddle posed by Zai sent chills down Juma's spine. "I am not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I?" Juma felt his mind racing. What could it be? He remembered stories from his childhood, tales of elements and their powers. After several moments of contemplation, he shouted, "Fire." "Correct," Zai said, his eyes narrowing, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. "But remember, fire can destroy as much as it creates." As Juma celebrated his victory, a shadow loomed behind him, a reflection of his past. The lines between victory and defeat began to blur, and Juma felt a chill creep down his spine. Amara watched from a distance, concern etched on her face. "Juma, the more you win, the more Zai gains control over you. You need to break free." But Juma dismissed her warning, caught in the thrill of the game. The intoxicating rush of victory overshadowed his better judgment, and he began to ignore the warning signs. The deeper he went, the more entangled he became in Zai's web. With each riddle, Juma felt stronger, but the dark energy around him grew heavier. He began losing touch with reality, spending long hours in the tent with Zai, who appeared increasingly sinister as time passed. One night, Zai offered him a deal: "You can exchange your winnings for something more tangible, the treasure beyond your wildest dreams. What do you want in return?" Juma asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "Just a little piece of your soul," Zai replied, the glint of malice dancing in his eyes. Juma hesitated, the weight of his decision pressing heavily upon him. But driven by desperation and the promise of wealth, he agreed. He was determined to escape his past, no matter the cost. The moment he made the deal, he felt a part of himself slip away like grains of sand through his fingers. The thrill of victory was intoxicating, yet a lingering doubt gnawed at his mind. Was he trading his soul for fleeting riches? He didn't know, but the darkness was creeping closer, and he could feel it coiling around him. As days turned into weeks, Juma's life spiraled. He became consumed by Zai's games, neglecting his friends and family, isolating himself from the world outside. Amara tried to pull him back, but Juma was too far gone, lost in the allure of riddles and dark magic. One night, he found himself in a dark alley, surrounded by shadows whispering secrets that sent shivers down his spine. He realized he had become a pawn in Zai's game, trapped in a world of darkness that threatened to swallow him whole. "I can help you," Amara said, appearing suddenly, her expression filled with urgency. "We need to break the spell Zai has cast over you. You're stronger than this." But Juma shrugged her off, convinced he could win back his soul through more riddles. Little did he know, each riddle pulled him further into darkness, drawing him deeper into Zai's grasp. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting eerie shadows over the city, Juma found himself trapped in a nightmare. One evening, while in Zai's tent, he was met with an unsettling challenge. This time, it involved a horrifying twist. "Tonight, we will summon the shadows," Zai said, his voice low and hypnotic. "Only the bravest can face their deepest fears." Juma felt a chill run down his spine. Summon the shadows. What does that mean? "Tonight, you will face a creature born from your darkest memories," Zai replied, a cruel smile forming on his lips. "Defeat it, and you will gain great power. Fail, and you will lose a part of yourself forever." Before Juma could protest, Zai chanted ancient words, and the room darkened. Shadows twisted and coiled around him, forming a ghastly figure, a manifestation of his guilt and regrets. It resembled a twisted version of himself, eyes hollow and mouth twisted in a silent scream. "Fight it, Juma. You have to." Amara's voice echoed in his mind, urging him on. Juma's heart raced as the shadow lunged at him, its cold fingers reaching for his throat. He fought back with everything he had, recalling the moments of his life that had haunted him, his wrongful imprisonment, the pain of betrayal, the loneliness. With every blow he struck, memories flooded back, images of his past life that clawed at his soul. Finally, with a surge of strength, Juma roared and tackled the shadow, forcing it to the ground. "You will not control me," he shouted, pushing the figure away. The shadows shrieked and dissipated, leaving him breathless, but a part of him felt forever lost in the encounter. With the shadow defeated, Juma felt a surge of power coursing through him. He had conquered a part of himself, but he also sensed a deep cost. Zai watched, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. "Congratulations, Juma. You are stronger now, but remember, every victory has its price." "What price?" Juma asked, a knot forming in his stomach. "The shadows you fight will always leave their mark. They may return when you least expect it," Zai replied, his voice smooth and inviting, yet laced with danger. Juma felt an unsettling sense of foreboding. He had beaten the shadow, but its whisper still echoed in his mind, taunting him with memories of his darkest moments. "What do I do now?" "You will continue to play. The more you win, the more powerful you become," Zai said, his eyes glinting with malice. "But be wary, dark magic is unpredictable. It can twist your intentions, turning allies into foes." That night, Juma lay awake, staring at the ceiling, haunted by the shadow's face. He remembered the moment it had whispered his name, reminding him of everything he had lost. Could he really trust Zai, or was he just another pawn in a much larger game? Juma continued his descent into Zai's world, his mind tangled in riddles and dark magic. Days turned into nights filled with endless challenges, and the lines between reality and nightmare blurred. One evening, Zai introduced a new player, Malika, a woman with a mysterious past and a captivating aura. "Meet Malika," Zai said, gesturing grandly. "She has faced the shadows and emerged unscathed." Malika's eyes sparkled with mischief as she approached Juma. "I've heard about your victories. You're quite the prodigy," she said, her voice smooth like silk. Juma felt a connection to Malika, an unexplainable bond that pulled him closer. "What's your secret?" he asked, intrigued. "I dance with shadows, but I don't let them consume me," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "We must work together to beat Zai at his own game." Juma considered her words, feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe they could find a way to escape Zai's grasp together. But just as he began to feel reassured, Zai interrupted their conversation, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. "Be careful, Juma. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend," Zai warned, a hint of jealousy in his tone. "Dark magic creates bonds, but those bonds can easily be severed." Juma felt torn between Zai's warnings and Malika's charm. As he faced the growing tension, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was caught in a web of deceit, where trust was a fragile thread about to snap. As the days passed, Juma found himself spending more time with Malika, drawn to her strength and allure. Together, they worked on riddles and shared stories of their pasts, but Zai's presence loomed over them like a dark cloud. One night, Zai proposed a challenge unlike any other, a riddle that could grant them both incredible power. "You will each face your fears, and together, you must overcome them," he declared. The challenge sent a chill down Juma's spine, but Malika smiled, her confidence shining through the darkness. "We can do this, Juma. We just have to trust each other." They stepped into the shadows, the air growing thick with tension. As they faced their fears, they were engulfed by darkness. Juma found himself back in his prison cell, reliving the anguish of his wrongful conviction. The walls seemed to close in around him, suffocating him with memories of despair. "Juma, remember who you are." Malika's voice echoed in the darkness, grounding him. With newfound determination, he focused on Malika's words, pulling himself free from the memories that bound him. Together, they fought through the shadows, and with every step, they began to regain their power, dispelling the dark magic surrounding them. As they emerged from the darkness, they felt the rush of victory. "We did it!" Malika exclaimed, her eyes shining with triumph. But beneath the surface, a lingering doubt remained. Had they truly escaped, or had they merely awakened something darker within themselves? With their victory over the shadows, Juma and Malika felt invincible, but that sense of power soon began to unravel. Zai, growing increasingly suspicious of their bond, devised a plan to drive a wedge between them. "Juma, Malika is not who she seems," Zai whispered, planting seeds of doubt in Juma's mind. "She's playing you, using you to gain strength." Juma's heart raced, torn between the trust he had built with Malika and Zai's insidious whispers. Could she really betray him? His mind churned with uncertainty, and he began to distance himself from Malika, isolating himself in fear. Meanwhile, Malika sensed the shift in Juma's demeanor. "What's wrong? You've been distant," she said, concern etched on her face. "Zai said you're not trustworthy," Juma replied, his voice trembling. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Malika's expression hardened, anger flashing in her eyes. "Zai is manipulating you. You have to see that." But Juma hesitated, the darkness within him battling against the light he felt around Malika. "I need time," he said finally, stepping away. In that moment, the bond they had forged began to fray, leaving both feeling lost and alone. As Juma retreated deeper into Zai's world, he felt the shadows creeping back, whispering the truths he wished to ignore. The darkness of betrayal consumed him, and he was left standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. In the weeks that followed, Juma fell deeper into Zai's trap. The darkness surrounding him became a familiar presence, and he began to forget the light he once felt with Malika. Zai continued to offer riddles that pulled Juma further into despair, challenging him to confront the ghosts of his past. One night, Zai presented a particularly dark riddle: in the light, I vanish; in the dark, I thrive. I am the truth you fear to see. What am I? Juma's heart raced as he faced the question. The answer felt just out of reach, slipping through his fingers like sand. I don't know, he shouted, frustration boiling within him. Zai's eyes gleamed with delight. The answer is fear, Juma. A powerful force that consumes you. At that moment, Juma felt the weight of Zai's words crush him. Fear had been his constant companion, shaping his choices and leading him to this dark place. But as he faced his fear, something within him began to stir, the flicker of determination. I won't let fear control me, Juma declared, the words echoing in the tent. In that moment of clarity, Juma realized he needed to confront Zai and reclaim his life. The shadows around him twisted and writhed, but he stood firm, ready to face whatever came next. He was no longer a pawn in Zai's game, he was ready to reclaim his own narrative. With renewed determination, Juma confronted Zai in the dimly lit tent. I see through your lies now, Zai. You've been feeding off my fear to gain power, but no more. Zai's expression darkened, his smile vanishing. You think you can defy me? The shadows will consume you, he snarled, his voice dripping with menace. Juma felt the shadows swirl around him, threatening to pull him back into despair. But he stood firm, focusing on the light that Malika had ignited within him. I'm not afraid of you or your darkness. With every ounce of strength, Juma summoned the light within, illuminating the tent and pushing back against the shadows. The darkness hissed and recoiled, unable to withstand the fierce light he radiated. Zai's eyes widened in shock as Juma advanced, refusing to let fear govern him any longer. You've used dark magic to manipulate me, but it ends here. In a burst of energy, Juma lunged forward, channeling all his rage and determination. He confronted Zai with a wave of magic, dispelling the darkness surrounding them. Zai stumbled back, eyes filled with fury and disbelief. You think you can defeat me? You are nothing without the shadows. With that, the shadows leaped toward Juma, seeking to envelop him. But instead of cowering, he embraced them, channeling their energy into a force of his own. You don't define me, he shouted, a brilliant light erupting from within. Zai's power began to wane as Juma's light overwhelmed him, the shadows screaming in retreat. No. This can't be happening. Zai cried, desperation creeping into his voice. The struggle raged on, but Juma stood his ground, refusing to let Zai's darkness consume him. With one final surge of energy, he cast Zai out of the tent, banishing him into the night. With Zai defeated, Juma felt a surge of exhilaration and relief. But as the darkness dissipated, the heavy weight settled in his heart. He had lost the connection with Malika in the turmoil of his confrontation with Zai. In the days that followed, Juma searched for Malika, regret gnawing at him. I was wrong to doubt you, he murmured to himself, recalling her warmth and the light they had shared. One evening, he found her sitting alone by the river, her expression distant. Malika, he called, approaching cautiously. I need to talk to you. She looked up, her eyes filled with hurt. You chose Zai over me, Juma. I thought we were in this together. I was manipulated. I didn't see the truth, he pleaded, stepping closer. Please, I need you. I can't do this without you. Malika sighed, her expression softening slightly. You have to understand, Juma. Trust is everything in this world of shadows. Once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild. I know, he replied, feeling the weight of his choices. But I fought against the darkness, and I want to fight for us too. As they spoke, the shadows danced around them, whispering secrets of the past. Juma reached for her hand, feeling a flicker of hope igniting between them. Together, we can defeat the darkness. I believe in us. Malika hesitated for a moment, then squeezed his hand. If we are to fight the shadows, we must do it as allies. We'll need to confront the secrets Zai has hidden, the ones that bind us to him. Juma nodded, determination filling him. Let's uncover the truth together, no matter how dark it may be. With their bond rekindled, Juma and Malika delved deeper into Zai's dark magic, determined to uncover the truth behind his manipulations. They spent sleepless nights researching ancient texts, seeking knowledge that could break the chains of Zai's power. Zai draws his strength from fear and betrayal, Malika explained one evening as they pored over dusty scrolls. We need to confront his sources of power if we stand a chance against him. Juma nodded, focused on a passage that caught his eye. Here. It says Zai has a hidden altar where he performs dark rituals. It's where he channels his energy and feeds off the fears of others. Malika's eyes widened. We must find this altar. If we disrupt his rituals, we can weaken him and expose his true nature to everyone. With newfound resolve, they set out to locate the altar, guided by the ancient texts and their shared determination. As they ventured deeper into the city's underbelly, the air grew thick with darkness, and the shadows seemed to whisper warnings. This place feels wrong, Juma muttered, glancing around nervously. Malika nodded, her gaze steady. Stay focused. We are here to take back our lives. After navigating through hidden alleys and crumbling structures, they finally stumbled upon a hidden chamber shrouded in darkness. The altar loomed before them, covered in symbols of despair and sorrow, a testament to Zai's dark influence. This is it, Juma breathed, his heart pounding. We need to destroy it. As they approached the altar, the shadows began to writhe and coil around them, desperate to protect their dark sanctuary. Stay close. Malika shouted, raising her hands in defiance. Together, they channeled their magic, creating a barrier of light that pushed back against the encroaching darkness. We won't let you control us any longer. Juma shouted, feeling the power surging within him. The altar trembled as their light collided with Zai's dark magic, shaking the very foundations of the chamber. The shadows screamed in rage, but Juma and Malika stood resolute, determined to break the cycle of fear and darkness. As the altar cracked and splintered under the force of their combined magic, Zai materialized from the shadows, his expression a mix of fury and disbelief. You dare challenge me in my own domain, he hissed, dark energy crackling around him. Juma felt a surge of fear but pushed it aside. You've manipulated us for too long, Zai. This ends now. Zai laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. You think you can defeat me? I am the shadows. You are nothing but pawns in my game. Malika stepped forward, her eyes blazing with defiance. We are not afraid of you anymore. We've faced our fears, and together, we are stronger than you'll ever be. The air crackled with tension as Zai unleashed a wave of darkness, but Juma and Malika stood firm, their light shining bright against the encroaching shadows. They combined their powers, channeling their shared strength into a brilliant beam of light that surged toward Zai. No. You cannot, Zai shouted, but it was too late. The light engulfed him, piercing through the layers of darkness that surrounded him. The shadows writhed and screamed as the altar shattered completely, the dark energy dissipating into the air. In that moment, Juma felt a sense of freedom wash over him. We did it, he cried, exhilaration surging through his veins. But as the dust settled, Zai's form flickered, revealing a smirk on his face. You may have won this battle, but I will return. Shadows are never truly vanquished. With a final burst of energy, Zai vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. Zai vanished into the darkness. Is he truly gone? Join us on the final episode to find out.